everybody, I'm Noémi from the Simple Begiknits podcast, and welcome back to episode number 4. It's been a long time since we've had a podcast. I've explained this before, but we're in the process of moving to Ottawa, Canada, and things have been a little bit chaotic. So we're going to try to come back to a monthly regular schedule, and this is attempt number 1. So grab a hot drink and your knitting or crochet project and buckle in, because I believe today might be a long one because we have a lot to catch up on. We'll go ahead with the first finished object since our last podcast. I've got my Moonset Pullover. I'll stand up here. See if you can get a look at the fabric. Got a bit of variegation from the hand-dyed yarn. So I've knit this, I think I finished this sweater in early February, and I've probably been wearing it once, if not twice, maybe 3 times a week. It is just so cozy and warm, but also light and breathable. Yeah, breathable. I love it. I love the color. I love how relaxed and casual it is. The Moonset Pullover is a design by Ozetta, and it was an absolute joy to knit up. The process of knitting the collar alongside the yoke was really interesting, and I love the way this fits. I believe she has a couple more patterns in this in the Moonset range, and I was looking to possibly knit the Moonset Tee this summer, just for how this v-neck sits. It's not too low, it's not too wide or too narrow, it just sits really nicely on my frame. So stay tuned, we might see a Moonset Tee in the works sometime this summer. We'll see. There's tough competition out there for good tees, that's for sure. So I've talked about this in previous podcasts, but I've knit this sweater in Emilia et Philomene Merino, held double with Knitting for Olive's soft silk mohair. And together the fabric has a really nice drape, as the mohair is making it a warm piece, so it's nice for colder winter days, but it also is breathable enough in the spring, and we'll see this fall how it fares, but I'm sure it'll be not an issue at all. And so this pattern had a couple of firsts for me. This is my first drop shoulder construction, and I gotta say I really enjoyed it. It does look very boxy on my frame, but this is intended to have quite a bit of positive ease. But I don't mind it. For a more relaxed sweater, this fits the bill. This was exactly what I was looking for, and I'm really happy with it, but I don't think I would be making each one of my subsequent sweaters in the same shape. But overall, I'm really happy. I love the wide sleeves. Sorry, you might see a bit of pilling. It's just a testament to how much I've been wearing this sweater. Yeah, I absolutely love the sleeves. I had considered doing a modification where I would maybe do some decreases closer to the wrist and have more of a balloon sleeve effect, but I'm glad I left them as is, because this is just really nice and girly and a cute detail, and yeah, not much more to say about that. It was overall a 10 out of 10 process. Moving on, I have here a project that I've spoken about in a previous podcast, but I didn't have it with me to show you. This is my Petite Knit Oslo Mohair edition hat. So you might notice it's a bit smaller than what the pattern calls for. So the brim in the original pattern is like 10 centimeters ish thick. I knit mine, or tall rather, I knit mine a bit shorter, and I have a bit of a small head, so I was like, oh, no big deal. Like, I didn't want to have, you know, the brim sitting way above my head. And then when I got close to the decreases, I got scared that I was going to run out of yarn, and I was definitely playing dangerous game of yarn chicken. So I decided to decrease at a bit of a faster rate than the pattern originally called for, in the hopes that it would block out fine and like fit my head shape as I wanted it to, but it is a little bit on the small, so by small I mean the short side. I wish I would have just not been so much of a chicken and bought a second ball of yarn, because I think I would get much more wear out of this. So here is the fit. See, it doesn't show too bad on camera. It actually looks kind of fine. Maybe it's because I've been stretching it out from wearing it so much, but I just love the color. I wanted a hat that was just obnoxiously hot pink. I think I spoke about this in my last podcast, but my coat and my boots, my purse, everything, all my outerwear is essentially like fairly neutral, just like tones of beige and camels. And so I wanted an accessory to just really pop. And I mean, I don't know what you guys think, but this certainly pops. I'm so happy with this. My one issue is that the mohair is a little bit scratchy, so after a while, especially if I'm moving a lot and wearing this, so like going for a walk, the hat might like move a little bit on my head and I can get a little itchy from the mohair. But it's not too bad. I think if I give it another good block, it might soften up a little bit. But overall, I'm really happy with this. I think I should, see if the brim were a little bit taller. I think I like it more like that. And also, here, not to give away too much from the pattern construction, but you essentially do, when you fold the brim together, you knit 2 rows of pearls so that the brim sits nicely, but mine doesn't. And so I don't know what I did, but essentially if I do roll it to the length where the pearl line is, it just wants to keep rolling higher so that you eventually see this line, which I don't like. So when I do roll it a bit shorter, that solves that issue. But anyway, it's not a big deal. It's just if we're being nitpicky. Now, another issue I've noticed, and this is my fault, from when I blocked the hat, it took on the shape, it might have stretched it a little bit too large, so it took on the shape of where, it's kind of blurry, it took the shape of where the needles were, and so instead of blocking it on the axis of the decreases, I don't know why, I blocked it on the sides, and so it's created these kind of pleats in the hats, which depending on how I have it on my head, it lies a little funny. So I will definitely be giving it another block, and I'll try to ease that out once the fabric is wet, and hopefully we can get it to not have these weird this weird line across the top, because if I have it on my head, it just kind of looks like a big square, which is not the vibe we're going for. Oh god. We're all good. All right, we had to take a quick intermission to let my animals in the room, they were begging to come in. You might not see it, but she's got little ears over here. There's our cat and our dog. Okay. That's Bowie, and Shelly is our cats. Anyway, moving on. We've talked about the shirt, we talked about the hat. Next finished item of the month. This will be a little awkward. My first pair of socks, and as you can tell, they've gotten quite a lot of wear. These are Petite Knits Sunday socks, and I knit them in Sandnes Garn Double Sunday in the color cardamom, which I had a good time knitting with. The one thing I will say about that yarn is that it is a little bit splitty, but it was a great first pair of socks to knit up in that it's big yarn, big needles, so it knit up really quickly, and it got me the basics of how to knit a sock down, which made it feel really less intimidating having it be such a quick process and a simple sock design, because as I was looking through my 52 weeks of socks book, most of the patterns have a lot of like lace or texture, and it just felt really intimidating as a first time sock knitter to pick one of those patterns, and most of them have charts, which I never read at that point. It just felt like a lot to take on, so knitting these was a really cool like intro to knitting socks experience, and I love them. And you'll see in my acquisitions later that I've also been requested to knit my husband a pair, and even some of my coworkers requested some, so it was a hit for a pattern, and they're really cozy. They will say I've been wearing these quite a bit, and they've already started to felt along the heel and the toes, but I mean, not too big of a deal. They still fit really nicely. If you hear some funny noises in the background, that's just my cat. She's feeling really playful at the moment. All right, so on to the third of 5 finished objects. This is the Sandnes Garn, I can't remember the name. It's the Lacey Scarf by Sandnes Garn. There we go. And I've knit this in Sandnes Garn Sunday, held double with the tin silk mohair. I can't remember the colorway, but it's just this beautiful, it's gonna focus. No, anyway, a beautiful like blue delicate scarf with a eyelet pattern. So I knitted this to have as just like a cool little accessory to add some more color. You'll see the theme of this podcast is color, as well as summer. Yeah, we'll get into summer. I've talked in my last podcast about wanting to knit more color items into my wardrobe, and I think accessories like this and the hat have been a really fun way to do so. So I wanted to have either this look or have a little like headband moment, either like this or with my hair up, and have it just kind of like this and dangling in the back. That wasn't so cute, but I'm sure you get the idea. And yeah, it was super fun. It took me maybe like 2 days to knit, like one day to do half, one day to do the other half, and I really like it. You can tell it's kind of folding in on itself just from being worn. But this was a really quick knit, a really quick block. It was super enjoyable, and it taught me how to properly do eyelets, which we'll come back to in a second. It's knit with the built-in I-cord edging, which was super fun, and I would like to make another one of these, but just without the eyelets, and maybe a little bit thinner and longer, and to really, so I could really use that as a headband and have like some the long end pieces dangling. I think that would be really cute. Just have the vision going on, but we'll have to see if I feel like going back into this, because I have a lot of really exciting items either on the needles or in the queue, and this might have to go on hold. But anyway, it's really fun knit, really quick knit. It was a nice palette cleanser between some of my bigger projects that I was working on, and yeah, I loved it, really loved it. Next, I'm really excited about this one. So I knitted my first pattern for my 52 Weeks of Socks book. And the first thing I knit were slippers. So these are the Hestia slippers, and you'll see inside we've got some thrums. So this pattern was a pattern of firsts for me. It is knit in brioche, which I had never done before. It's knit in more than one color, which I'd never done before. And it's got thrums, which I had never done before. And the entire process was so easy and well guided, and I loved working on these. It was so fast. It's knitted in different panels, and each panel works up in less than a day. So within a week you have a lovely pair of fluffy slippers, and yeah, it was fantastic. So I've knit these for my husband's grandmother, and I'll be gifting them to her this Easter weekend. They were originally a knit for her birthday, but it's a little bit past that now. Sorry Nana. I'm sure she'll still appreciate these and love them, but oh my god, how cute are they? And they are so cozy because of that merino thrum. There you go, the merino thrums inside. It'll be so cozy on her feet. I want to make at least 3 more pairs of these, at least one for myself, one for my mother-in-law for sure, and one for my husband's grandpa. Yeah, I think it would be a lot of fun, and I have a couple of ideas of different color combinations that I want to work these up in. It is just the squishiest fabric. I love the pattern. If you hold them like this, how's it going to focus? They essentially look like a bunch of little hearts, or like waffling. Oh, there you go. And it's just so cute. So going with that heart theme, I think it would be really cute with like a either light pink, dark pink, or a light pink and a red. And it would be really sweet. Oh, look at that. A little heart. We're very on theme with these slippers. But yeah, the Hestia slippers from 52 Weeks of Socks, an absolute delight. My only qualm is that there are only 2 sizes listed in the pattern, but I think it would be really easy to just add a couple of rows and make them a little longer if you needed to, or even to shorten them if you were making them for really small feet. These are in the smallest size, and they're about the size of my face. Not that that's a reference point for anybody else but me. But yeah, super fun, super delightful, super squishy. I knit these in the Drops Extra Fine Merino. I can't remember the colorways, but yeah, it was fun working with this yarn. It was a little splitty, kind of along the lines of the Double Sunday, but at a lighter gauge. Yeah, nothing more or less to say. It is a superwash, which I wanted for these slippers in case they accidentally make it in the wash, although I don't know how great that would be for the thrums. Probably not good, but it would be easy enough to wash for her without having to think too much about it if something were to happen, but let's hope not. So yeah, I'm really excited to give these to her. I hope she likes them. I hope they are soft and warm and cozy on her feet. She had no idea that I've made these for her, which is going to make the surprise so much fun. All right. And yeah, so this concludes the finished object portion of our podcast. Yeah, that was my cat. All right, so moving on to our works in progress. I will keep in the flow of the 52 Weeks of Socks. After I knit the Sunday socks by Petite Knit, my drive for making more socks was on, and I decided to do this pattern, which is a pattern, I can't remember the number, but this is the Lottie, Lotte design. in 52 weeks of socks. This is the first of the 2 socks. And yeah, so far it's knitting up really well. I love the little cabling section, which was my first time doing cables, which is super exciting. I don't know how much I would recommend doing cables for the first time for socks when it's knit on such teeny tiny needles. But yeah, I think it's working up really well. I'm really excited to see how they block out. And another part that was a first for me was this double knitting for the heel of the socks, which kind of makes a reinforced heel and gives it a cool little pattern as well. I feel like these would wear really well, and yeah, I'm excited to see if they felt, and if so, how much. I'm sure they will, given the nature of socks. But I'm excited to see just how much they can withstand. Sorry, I'll just go put my dog out. Welcome back. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing how these wear. So far it's been a fun knit. I'm loving the little detail of the color band. My one complaint so far, and that's user error for sure, is I'm knitting these on DPNs, and you'll be able to tell over here I'm getting a little bit of laddering, and I tried a couple tricks to avoid that, and it's not working out so well for me. But I'm hoping that with the blocking that the wool will just fill up that gap, but we'll see. So I'm knitting these in some really special yarn. I'm knitting these in Hello Stella's special birthday sock set. It was a set of yarn that she released this year for her birthday, as the name suggests. And it's a fingering weight Highland wool, I believe. And yeah, it's super soft, really cozy, and I just love the color. And these 2 contrast colors were part of that set. I put a photo of the set on my Instagram if you guys want to go have a look. It was really fun winding these up because my son was there and he just absolutely loves the ball winder. So I get a little bit of help whenever I need to wind some yarn, which I'm not against. And so I'm holding this double with my Knitting for Olive soft silk mohair that I had left over from this sweater. So essentially when I knit this sweater, I ran out of my last ball of yarn with about a centimeter left on one of my sleeves, on the final sleeve that I had to knit. So I went and got another skein of, or another ball of that yarn and that color, and I think I didn't even use a gram of it. It was, so I essentially had an entire ball of soft silk mohair left over, and I figured, hey, it feels like, right, like if that's not a perfect fit, I don't know what is. It's just, like they're so similar. Maybe this, yeah, this is a little bit more purple, but like they're so close that like you can barely tell. And I'm loving the knitted fabric, how these 2 are coming out together. It's just like really, it's like still pink obviously, and you've got a nice pop of neons with the contrast colors, but it's just like a muted dusty rose, like the color of the soft silk mohair. But I just, yeah, I love this. It's pink without being too in your face. Very much so the opposite of my Oslo hat, which is fine. It served, yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. Anyway, moving on. So, work in progress, number 1. Pair of socks from the 52 Weeks of Socks book, which, by the way, I'm super excited to see volume 2. I don't know that I'll be buying it anytime soon, since I've still got 50 patterns to get through from volume 1, but you know, maybe just to have it grace my shelf and until I can get to it. I did see it has a lot of color work patterns, which I'm a little bit intimidated by, but we'll get to that later. Yeah, so moving on to work in progress number 2. This has been my favorite knitting experience so far, and I'm sure you guys have seen plenty of people make this pattern, but I've got an Ingrid sweater. Actually, sorry, I don't have an Ingrid sweater. My sister-in-law is going to have an Ingrid sweater. I was thinking of gift knits for this winter, and we have a fairly large family between my family and my husband's family combined, and so I thought I could get started on a couple of items. And when I was thinking of my sister-in-law, like, the Ingrid sweater just screams her name. I can't explain it. It's just, I see her in this. I see her wearing this all the time. It just is so her. So as you can tell, I've already knit the collar. I think this is supposed to be the last step, but something about having the collar on the body makes it look so much closer to being finished. It's all about the fine details, right? So I knit this, I kid you not, in a week. I went crazy knitting this pattern, and my wrists are dearly paying for it. So yeah, this was it was my first time doing some mock cabling, and this was my first time doing eyelets. And so you'll notice I started doing this, I was knitting these two in tandem, in conjunction, in combination. I was alternating between these two knits when the body of the sweater was getting a little too overwhelming and I wanted something a little faster, even though I knit this very quickly, don't get me wrong. I wanted a little something else because I'd been knitting my slip over, my sweater, and a couple of other big pieces on the go. I needed something quick to just kind of get that satisfaction. I started knitting this. And so something I forgot to notice, where is, oh, okay. So if you look, is it not gonna show? Okay, if you look at this end piece, the eyelets go pretty much all the way down to the point. If you look at this end piece, they do not. And that is because I did not know how to do an eyelet until I was this far down the Ingrid sweater. So when I started this piece and I did the first couple rows where there were supposed to be eyelets and the eyelets weren't showing up, I wondered what I was doing wrong. So I watched a couple of YouTube videos, and turns out I was, instead of bringing my yarn forward and over my needle, I was just bringing it from the back and bringing it over. Because in my head, yarn over didn't really matter which way, but turns out it does, because Exhibit A, my Ingrid sweater, like, where are the eyelets? And when I was knitting this, I'm like, you can tell, like, little baby eyelets are kind of there. But I just figured out, you know, when it blocks, it'll open. This is blocked. It did not open. So once I figured that out, and this eyelet scarf, it was already too late. Like, I had knit the body up until, like, yeah, this point. Oh, excuse me, I'm gonna sneeze. Sorry, sneeze break. So when I started knitting my scarf, I was already about this point in the body. And I just thought, listen, there have already been 1, 2, 3, 4 rows of eyelets. If all of a sudden the last 2 rows of eyelets are done correctly, this sweater is going to look so whack. I might as well keep doing them wrong. So for the purpose of this Ingrid sweater, we're doing eyelets wrong. But you know what? I'm not even mad with how it's showing up. And knowing her, I think that these teeny tiny eyelets are more her vibe and will be something that she would wear more than if there were giant holes all across her sweater. I don't think that would be her thing. So that's an unintentional modification to this sweater. Second modification I did was to the collar. As you can tell, I just knit a double rib folded collar, whereas the proper collar for the Ingrid, I believe, is double knit. I'm sorry, 2x2 rib, moving on to 1x1 rib, and it's just laid flat. And I had seen a couple people, but I think the first person who I'd seen do this type of collar for their Ingrid sweater was Florence Miller from Knitting by Florence, and I just loved it. And this felt way more like my sister-in-law than the original collar, so I went with it and I'm super happy. It just looks so clean, it looks so polished, it's very stretchy, but it comes back together. I'm debating whether I should sew an elastic in it just so that it always keeps this shape. I don't know if it's going to stretch out over time, but we'll see. But yeah, I'm so happy with how this blocked out. So she is much smaller than I am, but when I had finished knitting the body, obviously it was very compressed, and so I tried it on and it was like on me and I was like, oh god, like even though she is smaller, like I think that would be that's not the fit. So I was just really crossing my fingers and hoping that would block out well, and oh, did it ever. When I put this on, it was a little bit loose, a couple inches of positive ease, so it's just going to fit her perfectly. And again, like that loose fit is exactly her style, and so I'm so excited to gift it to her. Now, I think that for the sleeves, I will slow down and take my time. I'm in no rush, like I still have plenty of time to finish this. But yeah, I really did a number on my wrists. I've been wearing wrist guards ever since finishing that body, and I've been taking a couple of days off between projects just to give myself a break. I really was enthusiastic about it, but it's fine. It's the process. We learn and we move on. I don't think I mentioned, but I knit the Ingrid sweater in Sandnes Garden Double Sunday Cardamom, which is the same color as my Sunday socks, but of their entire color range, that felt like the color that was the most her. And I also knitted the Mohair. I know she has very sensitive skin, and I think the halo wouldn't have been it wouldn't have been her style. She's a bit more tomboy, I guess, and like I feel like the halo gives it a more feminine allure, and it just wouldn't have. I know that if I had put Mohair in that sweater, it wouldn't have been a piece that she'd gravitate towards, whereas without the Mohair, it's just perfect for her. So I'm really excited for Christmas so I can gift it to her, and to see her reaction and see her wear it, because I'm sure it's gonna look so good on her. Yeah, and then moving on, my next few whips might be a bit more familiar if you hung around and listened to the first couple of podcasts. So first off, we have my Meet Me at Midnight sweater by Espace Tricot. And first of all, I need to probably use a cable extender and add another cable in here, but we're almost at the point where I can split 4 sleeves, so I don't think I'm going to be doing that. I'm just going to push on. I think I have like maybe 3 more color changes to go through before splitting for sleeves, so at this point I'm not going to bother. This is knit in Moondrake Fua Fua, which is a cashmere fingering or light fingering yarn, and that is the lightest of the 2 colors, and the darker of the 2 colors is Blue Sky Fibers light fingering and the Moondrake yarn is in the color rose quartz, whereas the Blue Sky Fibers is in light quartz crystal. Very similar names, which is great. Yeah, I am loving how this is knitting up, and it's going to be, I don't know if I'll be able to finish in time to wear it this spring, but I really hope that I can, because I feel like this would be a lovely spring knit. It is a very light fabric. It's not very thin. It's knit in fingering yarn on 3.25 millimeter needles, and it has been a test of my patience. I vendored this as my submission to the well-loved Fully Knits Cal, because I just know that once this is done, I am going to cherish this piece. I'm going to love it. I'm going to wear it all the time. Like, this color, stop. Like, are you kidding? It's so cute. Oh, I just love this so much. I can't stop touching it. I just want this on my skin, and I can't wait for it to be done. But it is so long and so slow to knit up with the fingering yarn and the 3.25 millimeter needles. It is taking me forever. It's just one of these projects that I keep reaching for my tape and measuring it and be like, are we at however many inches yet? And no, I've barely put like a dent in what I had on previously. So it's taking me a while, but I think I'm going to love it that much more for it. And the idea of why I submitted this for the Cal is that I figured that being part of a knit along might be more motivating for me. So I believe the knit along ends beginning of May. We're now beginning of April. I have about a month to hopefully finish this. I don't know. That feels a little overwhelming. But the thought behind it was that seeing other people's submissions for the Cal might be motivating, encouraging. It's fine. It hasn't really been doing that for me, but it was a thought that counted, right? Yeah, I just cannot wait to see this blocked and to be able to wear it. I think I'm at like half an inch close to splitting for sleeves, which is going to make such a difference in knitting speed. And yeah, so if I remember correctly, this pattern is for long sleeves. And I was thinking, because I'm making this because I don't think this will be something I'll be reaching for like in the depths of winter unless I have layering pieces over it. But in my head, this feels like a fairly light sweater. Like, it's very thin, it's very breezy, which is why I kind of associate it more with a spring knit, cold night summer knit, fall, and again, yeah, for in the winter, something with layering pieces on top. Where was I going with this? Oh, right, yes, the sleeve. So I was thinking, and this is maybe the lazy part of me speaking, instead of going for full length sleeves, of doing a 3/4 sleeve. I think that would be really cute. And I think that would be super weather appropriate for what I'm envisioning this piece to be for. I don't have any 3/4 length sweaters, 3/4 length sleeved sweaters. That's a mouthful. So maybe this will be the first. We'll see. Not sure, but I'll keep you guys posted. So yeah, keep your fingers crossed for me that I can get this done for the knit along. I don't believe that the knit along requires you to finish whatever piece you're working on, but I mean, it's nice to set goals, right? Who knows? Who knows? I'll just be happy when this is done. Not because it's not a fun knit, it's just a very long knit. And I want to wear this so badly. So yeah, And it's my Meet Me at Midnight sweater. Or yoke. It's my Meet Me at Midnight yoke. Looking forward to it looking like a sweater. Next up, we've got another one who's been going on for a while. My Barbershaw by Gregoria Fibers. And you might remember this knit in a silk alpaca wool from a alpaca farm that was local to me back when we lived in Timmins. And I am so looking forward to having this shawl. Like, just stop it. It is so beautiful. It is so beautiful. I think it would look so good with my coat, like just kind of like tossed over and just wrapped up, and it's incredibly soft, incredibly soft. It is just so silky and it has such great drape. I love the fabric that is knitting up. But as you can tell, I've put it on holders, and I don't think I'll be working on this soon. It feels like now that the warmer weather is coming through, I've not had any motivation to pick this back up and work on it, but I am looking forward to wearing it in the late fall to winter season. So I don't know, maybe I'll pick this up a little bit here and there. Also, this is knit in the same 3.25mm needles that I have going on my Meet Me at Midnight sweater. So maybe once I'm done with the sweater, I'll pop the needles back on here, with a longer cable, and keep working on this shawl, because it's like maybe a quarter of the way done. I don't know, but it's so nice. It's so nice. Maybe I do pick it up again soon. We'll see. We'll see. Anyway, it's not for a lack of love. I absolutely adore what is knitting up. I just have other things at the top of my list right now, but I would like to have this done for fall. So maybe it'll be like a quick portable knit to have like in the car, when my husband is driving, of course, or on my breaks at work, who knows? Because it's not too big at this point that I can still carry it around with me. So I might do that. Once the sweater is knit and I can have those needles back, I think that's what I'll be doing. And yeah, so last whip. This one is, believe it or not, even sadder. This is my Cumulus Tee, excuse me. Like, if you can tell, but my stitch markers are Christmas themed. This is how long I've not been working on this, actually. So this is my Cumulus Tee from Petite Knits, and I'm knitting this in We Are Knitters. The cotton, I believe the cotton is 100% Pima cotton. It is so soft, it is so lustrous. This is in their shade Natural. And yeah, I think it would be a really great tee. The cotton's a lot thicker than the pure silk that is called for in the pattern. So it's making it a way denser fabric that I feel for me would be a bit more work appropriate. So this is kind of like an everyday tee that I'd be like wearing. There's just not much of it. I think you might remember I spoke a while back about not wanting to knit on this back in December, just because it wasn't as exciting to me as knitting warm sweaters because of the cold weather at the time. But now that the sun's coming out and the snow is melting, I am wanting to pick this back up again. Now, I am going to be looking for some, I believe 3mm circulars. Currently I have this on some 3mm Chaogu wooden needles, which are great needles, but I find with the cotton not having any stretch of its own, and it's just gripping to the needles. My speed is just way off. Not that I'm a very fast knitter to begin with, but like here you can tell, like it just feels a bit more tedious than if I had this on some metal needles where it would just glide off the needle, because right now it just like catches so much. It's hard to like push the yarn up on the needle. Maybe it's just my stitches are too tight, but I'm happy with the gauge that I'm knitting at. So yeah, I'm gonna have to look into some metal needles, because I don't think I would be able to complete this on wooden needles. It would drive me absolutely nuts. I think they're fine for different types of yarn, just not for this cotton, especially when it comes to the raglan increases. I hate it so much. So yeah, we'll be looking for some metal circulars for this, because I would really like to get going on this and get more of it done so I can have it ready for sorry, and so I can have it ready for spring and summer. That would be the dream. All right, I think that's it for the whips. Wow. On to the final part of this podcast. We've got acquisitions, and now I do want to preface this by saying that we haven't had a podcast in three months. So the last one was in January. We're now in April. I know this is a ridiculous amount of stuff, and I do not prone overconsumption, but each one of these items fills a need. So after I had my son, my body's changed a lot, and I've had to get rid of a lot of clothes, and now I have a huge void in my wardrobe, specifically in summer clothes. It's taken me a while to come to a point where I feel comfortable in my body and just embracing my new body post-child, and I'm ready to knit pieces that will highlight that and make me feel comfortable and beautiful. So some of the yarn that I've purchased is exactly for that. Some of it is for gift knits, and yeah, so preface over, let's keep going. To start off, you'll have seen this in my Lacey Scarf. Essentially, this is what I'm left with. So I think I don't remember how much these weighed, but I did weigh them. I think I have enough to make at least another Lacey Scarf. So I might do that, and I might, like I said, might make one without the eyelets, or make one with the eyelets and gift it. Not sure yet, but yeah, plenty left over. I was thinking of making an excavation blanket at some point. I don't quite have that many that much scrap yarn, so I don't know that I'm ready to start one yet. This feels like a lot of yarn to just consider scrap, so I might use it in some socks in the future. Not sure yet, but I'm sure there's a myriad of ways where I can. Oh, you know what? Actually, what am I saying? I do know what I was going to use this for. Oh gosh. Yeah. So I was planning later in the year to make the porcelain sweater from, I believe it's Lene Holmes Samso. Forgive me if I've said that wrong. But yeah, so the porcelain sweater, I was planning on knitting it in a cream base with blue accents, and the pattern calls for Sandnes Garn Sunday held with tin silk mohair, so pretty much already there. Yeah, so I was just gonna pick out more of this blue and get the cream. I don't have the rest of the sweater yet, but I was, in my planning, figured this is what this is going to be going towards. So yeah, that's one problem solved, I guess. Next up, we've got the Double Sunday by Sandnes Garn. Oh my god. It's just like so bright in here. Oh, there we go. Double Sunday by Sandnes Garn. And I've got a couple of balls of this, and this is to make my husband's Sunday socks by Petite Knit. And then for the last gift knit, we've got, so these are from, oh, upside down. These are from a Quebec yarn dyer, Julie Asselin. This is the Lacey DK yarn, and it is 90% superwash merino and 10% silk. And I picked these for some mittens for my best friend. She is so lucky. She's been living in Italy for the last 3 years, and we were talking about knits and how for the most part the weather is really nice and warm where she is. She's in Tuscany, and but however she does travel a lot for her work, and it does get chilly, and she doesn't really have any great winter accessories to keep her warm. So I found this pattern for these mittens by Pearl Soho. I will write down the name of the pattern here because I can't remember it off the top of my head, but they're essentially like striped mittens, and I believe in the photos on the website they're in white and pink or white and black. And she liked the idea, but just felt that for some mittens specifically, the white would get too dirty too quickly and wouldn't look as great. So we went instead with kind of tone on tone, like light gray, dark gray. And now I don't know if this will pick up on, oh yeah. See, so the light gray, what I love, has these kind of hints of purple throughout. Just like very subtle. And so I cannot wait to see this knit up, how it's going to work out. And this one kind of has those hints of purple, but also like a bit of a green undertone. And so I think these two together are just going to look so nice and just have the right amount of contrast. So the light one is the colorway Sea Smoke, and this one is in the colorway Épinette. So Épinette in French is pine tree, which I guess would explain the slight green undertones. But oh, it's gonna be so nice, and I think the silk with the merino is just going to look so, it's just gonna feel great on her hands, and just be the like appropriate amount of warmth, where she doesn't need something to keep her warm in like minus 30 degrees Celsius, right? It's just for chillier days where it's like, I don't know, closer to 0 Celsius. And I think this fits the bill. She signed off on these colors, and I'm just really excited to get started on this. It's just really not at the top of my priority list. I'll probably sneak it in between the Ingrid Sweater and the Noémi Midnight Sweater, just kind of do a small project between bigger items. But yeah, so that's that. And moving on. So now that we've moved to Ottawa, a big pleasure of mine has been visiting the local yarn stores. So we had one in Timmins, which is fantastic because I know, many places don't have local yarn stores. But we had one and it was closing. So now I'm here and they have 3. So, and I think I've been to all 3, honestly, within the first week of being in Ottawa, just to have a look. But I did get some stuff. So first item, this I purchased. Isn't this so cool? Oh, it's so cool. Sorry, this I purchased at Yarns You'll Love, you as in EWE, which is really cute and clever. And it is 80% merino superwash, 20% nylon. It's a braid of 6 colors. They are 20 grams each. Yep, 20 grams each in a fingering weight, and it's just so cute. I can imagine either some really cool gradient socks in this, like just trying to shape it into a sock, right? Like how cute would that be? And the black at the bottom or the dark gray, I think would be just brilliant, because even if it gets dirty, like nobody needs to see it. It would be perfect. So I was thinking either that or some kind of like tank or t-shirt, but I really think this wool would probably be better suited to socks. I don't know. Maybe a tank or a slip over. That's what I was thinking. A slip over would look really awesome in these colors. Oh, I love it. So this is in the, I mean, not shade, but like in the color combo called Middle Earth, which, like, come on. If I wasn't already going to buy this, the name would have sold me on it. It is so cool. I'm a huge Tolkien and Lord of the Rings fan, so yeah. Ooh. Whoops. So yeah, really excited about this. It is super soft. I don't really buy all that much superwash, although I know the last yarn I showed you was also superwash. But I just could not resist this. It is so freaking cool. I've never seen yarn braided like this, and it just caught my eye. It was the first thing I saw in the store, and it was the first thing I picked up. I just love it. So that's that. From that store, I also picked up, don't mind the cake, I had a really hard time winding this. So this is Cascade Ultra Pima, so cotton yarn, and does it say the color? Colorway 3832. And my plan for this is to make actually a crochet project. I am going to make the Etta bag by Paula Strict. It is a free pattern on We Are Knitters website, and yeah, I just thought this would be a really cool idea for a like a market bag, right? Initially I was thinking of making it in like a cream white-ish kind of color, but the more I thought about it, it's like, well, if I'm going to use it to go buy some produce and stains, like, I'd be too heartbroken, as ridiculous as that sounds. So I figured this cute little like light aquamarine kind of light teal color would serve that purpose maybe a little better, where it wouldn't show as much if, say, some kale were to rub off and make it a little bit green. It's already closer in color than white or cream. So yeah, that's the idea for this. And so I've been mostly purchasing summer yarns. I have a couple of ideas for tank tops that I would like to make. So I have here a I bought a couple more of these. I don't just have the one, but I bought a couple skeins of this Rowan Summerlight DK made with Egyptian cotton yarn. This is the shade 00452. It's really nice yarn, super shiny and soft, and the top I had in mind for this is one of two. So either the Summer Ingrid top, I can't remember who the pattern is from, stand by. So I found the pattern. So my idea for this yarn was to either knit the Soho tank top by Kadri, or the Ingrid top by Gregoria Fibers. Either of those I would absolutely love. And to be honest, if I don't knit the one in this, I'm probably gonna knit the other in this. So I also got a couple of balls of Sandnes Garn Mandarin Petite in the shade 1012. I believe this is like natural or cream, something like that. Anyway, it's another 100% cotton. This one is a fingering weight. So yeah, be prepared for some summer tanks, summer tops, maybe some tees, who knows, but that is the plan with these, and I'm really excited. I will not be knitting either of these yarns on bamboo needles. You can trust that. It will be on metal needles and metal needles only, because I do not want a repeat of the Cumulus Tee. I'm so excited to have some summer knitwear that I want to enjoy the process. So my final yarn acquisition, and one that I'm both delighted and terrified of, is this gorgeous Malabrigo Sussurro yarn. This is a light DK or sport yarn, and it is 50% mulberry silk, 25% merino, and 25% linen. So I don't know if you can see, oh yeah, see, you can tell like some of the little linen fibers are coming through. And I read on some user comments on Ravelry that it does shed a little bit, but I'm hoping that once the fabric is knitted, that it'll eliminate some of the shedding, just having a little bit of a tighter bond from knit to knit to knit. We'll see. But what I'm planning on making with this beautiful, beautiful yarn, and it's so like smooth, by the way, like to the touch, is so soft and so shiny. Like it has just yeah, it picks up a little bit, but almost like a pearl type of sheen to it, and I'm just in love. But what I'm going to be using these the skeins that I bought for this is the Couture Tee by Sari Nordland. It is a beautiful lace tee, and I'm so scared. I am so scared that if I mess it up, that it's going to be so obvious. I even signed up at one of my local yarn stores for a lace work class. Unfortunately, it was already filled, but they did put my name down for future notice in case they plan a second course. But yeah, I'm really excited for this, but also really nervous, but I cannot wait to have this in my wardrobe. I think it would just be so cool and delicate. And yeah, just, it seems like such an achievement in my head, like cables and lace, just like two very complex looking tasks, but I'm super excited to kind of dip my toes into it. And yeah, and then final part of the whole acquisition series, it's been a long one. I got some knitting books and magazines. So the first one, and this is the one I'm the most excited about, I got the Sandnes Garn 2302 DIY magazine, and let's see, the photos are at the beginning. It just, it's so cute. Like, how freaking cute is that? No, I'm really excited. So this is the magazine from which I knit my Lacey scarf. I'm so excited. Oh, hold on. You see this? Like, how cozy does this look? It looks so cozy. It looks so comforting, and I want that in my wardrobe. However, it's knit on 3.5mm needles, so no, not right now at least. Maybe when I get a little bit more, I don't know, excited about it, I might consider it. The big reason why I picked up this magazine was for this beauty. First of all, how cute is this photo? Like, this model, first of all, she's stunning. The sweater, stunning. The little pieces of lime, so cute. I can't wait to knit this sweater. I cannot wait. So this sweater, I tell you right now, is going to be the first sweater cast on for this fall. That's it. that's it. I'm just so excited about it. It's so freaking cute. I know I just said this is like a little baggy and oversized, but like, and this is very much baggy and oversized, but I don't know, it's just so cute. I can't stop saying cute. I'm absolutely in love with this sweater. And it looks like a really fun knit. So I'm excited to cast that on and add it to my collection. Oh, and here is the Lacey Scarf. Like, how adorable is that? Oh, it's a really nice color. I considered it for a while, but I just felt like maybe the blue would be more in my palette, but I mean, it's a quick knit. I can always make another one. Okay, I have a podcast to record, and I'm just here like reading my books. Good job. All right, so moving on, my next two acquisitions are kind of related. We talked about how daunting I find lace and I find cabling. The most daunting of all, in my mind, is color work. So I bought not one, but two books on color work. First one here is Mastering Color Knitting, and it talks about all different kinds of color knitting. So we've got like intarsia to fair isle to double knitting, and I think I'm missing some. But yeah, it explains how to do it, but also gives you patterns and like swatches that you can try. Like, this blanket is everything. It is giving so much. I love this blanket. I'm a little terrified of it, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe in the future I can see myself knitting something like this. And the next one I bought is Strands of Joy by Anna Johanna, published by Lina magazine. And another, I mean, as in true Lina fashion, the photos are absolutely stunning. I love how cozy these all feel. And yeah, I'm looking forward to not necessarily demystifying, but making color work feel less scary. As you can see, I've dipped my toes into it a little bit with these slippers and these socks, as well as my Meet Me at Midnight tee. But I feel like those are all fairly small scale. I'm terrified to knit a Fair Isle sweater, but I really want one. So, I don't know, maybe end of winter, next winter, or maybe the one after, we'll see. We'll see how courageous I get. And yeah, that's pretty much it for today. Whew. I'm like out of breath here from just talking to you about all this exciting stuff. So yeah, I just wanted to take a second to thank you everybody for bearing with me. I know it's been quite some time and I haven't been the most consistent in the schedule, but now that we're settling in here and things are kind of getting back to its normal pace, I feel like I'll be having more and more time to continue podcasting. This is something that I absolutely enjoy. Not many, actually, yeah, maybe I have one friend who started knitting, but otherwise no one in my immediate circle knits, so I don't have that many people to like chit chat about this. My husband, bless him, is just so sweet and will listen to me and ask questions and be excited for me, but it's not the same as sharing the enjoyment of somebody else also creating alongside with you. So this is a really just therapeutic experience all around. I really enjoy it. I love reading your comments and hearing your thoughts and knowing what you guys are working on as well. So yeah, thank you for listening and watching and joining me on this journey. Hope we keep learning from each other, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.